Safety is our number one priority. How many times have you seen a company say that? But what do they really mean? The process involved in improving and maintaining a positive safety culture is a multifaceted long game. As a means of simplifying what can be a wicked problem, this presentation presents culture building as a process parallel to the simple growth of microbial cultures in a lab.
So it turns out that bacteria can convert wastewater directly into electricity. This is called a microbial fuel cell. Really understanding these systems requires us to know which specific kinds of bacteria are best at generating electricity, along with the multifaceted steps they use to do it.
It turns out a strong safety culture is people-centric. A thriving, self-generative safety culture not only protects the members of the affected population, but in the case of a research institution, it can lead to a more efficient and effective production of research products and a healthier work environment.
All right, learning about specific microbes is so much more productive and straightforward when they exist in isolation as pure cultures, without all the complexity of the hundreds or thousands of kinds that tend to coexist. Achieving good, pure bacterial cultures requires good, clean lab practice, which is good for our health.
A dirty lab is a recipe for disaster. But when we discuss safety culture, we're talking about more than housekeeping, warning signs, and lab coats. We're talking about a set of beliefs which influence everything we do. It's the soil in which we grow, it is the water in which we swim, and if that water is polluted, it affects everything.
Now, once we've decided on a specific strain of microbes, we must cultivate that one single strain by giving it the ideal conditions to swim in, hitting its Goldilocks zone in terms of food, temperature, salt, and other environmental conditions. Creating this environment takes quite a bit of planning and detailed attention.
If we are planning to think about safety in a different way, we need to talk about risk in a different way. The Center for Leadership in Learning and Risk has created a risk maturity matrix for use in identifying levels and categories of risk. They have separated them into 3 groups, which we call workspace, headspace, and group space.
Now, we can get microbes from just about anywhere, but ours usually do come from a company that specializes in specific strains because that's very controllable and reliable. I will say, though, it's quite the adventure to take a wild sample and through weeks or months of careful selection, eventually try to achieve good cultures.
Safety programs, as we know them, deal primarily with workplace risks, like safety glasses and regulations, the focus being on researchers as objects. The headspace and group space risks move towards treating researchers as people with thoughts and emotions and independent ideologies, and making this mental switch is where change starts to happen.
Even though we've got just the right growth conditions and a lovely starter culture, change can be slow to appear. The microbes double in number every so many hours, which isn't much when you start with just a few cells in a small culture. But given time, attention, and support, they will take off.
Having planted the cultural seed of human-based risk assessment and provided resources, we have to be patiently persistent. This August, TCE completed the 3rd annual Safety In-Service Day, where the whole day is focused on safety. We're aiming for 100% researcher participation, and we are still well short of that goal, but we're already planning for next year.
Now, all this work has just been to get the right bugs to a healthy state in a microbial fuel cell. Now we need to quantify that health. In a microbial fuel cell, we care a lot about voltage and electrical current because these make electrical power. Of course, we can measure other effects as well.
How do you quantify culture? Some of the work being done in TCE currently is an attempt to answer this question. Engineers love numbers, but this is a tricky problem. Now we're looking at the employee onboarding process and annual workplace satisfaction surveys in conjunction with lab inspection metrics to get a better idea of what progress looks like.
Occasionally, like when Doug the graduate student leaves the lab for too long, a healthy microbial culture can stall or even die off. These microbial fuel cells require regular nurturing, measurements on how they're performing, and active attention and support in order to thrive.
In TCE, we have been making a concerted effort to grow our safety culture for about the last 3 years. We have seen positive changes in processes, in reporting, in participation, in high-level thinking about risk, but we have also had lab incidents take us back to just talking about general housekeeping. It's not a linear process, but the graph is definitely trending upward.
Now, after weeks of enriching a good fuel cell culture, and then more weeks of careful measurements, we can start to answer the important questions about how specific microbes accomplish this feat of generating electricity. Ultimately, our goal is to make these findings relevant in big systems.
Coming back to this graphic, it's easy to get the idea that once we start thinking about addressing cultural and behavioral risks, that we're done. You did it, hooray! But this work is never complete and needs constant reinforcement and evaluation at all steps of the process because your community is constantly growing and changing and your culture must grow and change with them.
So now we all know a little bit more about pure cultures and how, with the right culture in the right environment, we can actually convert wastewater directly into electricity. Engineers like us will investigate these cool little systems and work towards more sustainable technologies for our future.
What does the future of safety culture look like? How do we get the buy-in that we need? How do you foster intrinsic motivation? This is what we need, and what we're currently working on is a sustainable, positive culture framework where everyone is included and represented, where everyone sees their value, and everyone is empowered to make a positive impact.
So when you want to achieve positive changes in your community, careful planning and patient persistence can set that community up for success. Whether that success is improving lab safety culture like we're doing in TCE, or growing just the right culture for a microbial fuel cell, we hope you also will persistently pursue your positive changes.
Thank you.